Hey, check. You hear me loud and clear?
I do hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
Clear.
let's
Clear.
query. Can you hear me query?
I do, yes.
Okay, all right. The main reason why you see a lot of podcasts do with headphones is, I mean, I've learned from other podcasters to do this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why they put headphones on?
Well, for me personally, I want to hear how I sound like and make
Yeah.
sure that when I step away and whatnot, it doesn't sound too obvious. Yeah. That's what I do with my streaming as well. My husband, when he games and he goes on Discord, he doesn't stream, but he doesn't monitor his own voice. And I'm like, how do you live with that? Like, don't you want to hear yourself? Make sure that, your friends can hear you and you're loud and clear. But no, I don't like to hear my own voice. I'm like, okay. I don't either.
Well, yeah, there's some, but that's actually a very good point. And the thing about podcasts is when you hear your voice and then your guest's voice at that appropriate equal volume,
Yep.
when you start to talk over each other, then it's very obvious.
Correct. Yeah.
So in natural conversation, we always talk over each other and we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
But in a recording, it's very annoying. It sounds bad.
It is. So then you know how to cut back and, try to balance each other out. Yeah.
Exactly, precisely there.
Yeah, we get it. I get it.
Yeah, you get it. I'm sure you know. You get it. Yeah.
I do.
The audio folk will get it. I don't have to explain it to them.
Yeah. The other day I had a client discovery meeting. It's a new client. And then they were like, the first impression they had of me was, why do you look and sound like a radio presenter? Because that's how I set up my stuff at home. I have like the right gain structure, some noise cancellation, and I had a camera set up in a way where I do actually look like a radio presenter. I have my DT770 at home. So, it completes the look. And so it's something that I still carry and cherish from, I wouldn't say my past life, but like the things that I learned in college. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, obviously, it just looks professional. Right? It looks and it sounds professional,
it
right?
Does, yeah.
And then clients remember you because of that.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't even dressed the best. I was dressed like in t-shirts. I didn't put makeup on, and I had my mirrorless camera. I wanted to try it out. That means you can see every single flaws that I have that day. And honestly, I could have gotten away with a normal webcam. You can, hide some flaws a bit. But I didn't mind. The first thing that I saw was you look like a radio presenter and you sound like one. So.
Oh, that's good. Or maybe that could be another thing, that you could try next time. Radio.
I considered. I have not done, but I did a few like TikTok challenge by hits. So TikTok has this feature where you can duet with somebody. So I read the script that they had on screen and I managed to, say it in time before the song starts. It's those kind of challenge. And I actually do sound like a radio presenter, but I know in many ways I'll be too distracted to even remember what I want to say. So I decided, it's a fun idea to entertain.
Oh, but if you've ever been to a radio station, you don't have to remember what you say. It's all written down for you on the.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That would have been helpful.
I mean, of course, you can ad lib here and there, but all the points of what you want to say is actually all on the board written there.
That's a secret from the industry. I didn't know.
Yeah, so it's like you don't have to you don't have to forget what the key points. Plus, it's always basically the same couple of points, talking points that they have to repeat lah.
That's true. That's true.
And everything's pre-recorded in radio, so it's like it's easy. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just afraid of the live aspect of it. Like, I don't want to mess up. I always trip on my words. My friends make fun of me from tripping my words on stream all the time. And then they always like point out how much I messed up my wedding vows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The word was, what was the word? Good. I don't remember now. But when it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Did you like write your own ones, or was it like the
no?
Like
it was
traditional
it's kind of traditional. I guess it's traditional to my church. But I think it says I promise to be faithful. It sounds nice and lovely. How can I mess it up? I said I promise to be fruitful. And then the whole church burst into laughter. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Luckily, we didn't have any videographers or whatever, but we were on Facebook Live, so
Yeah.
at least it's captured there.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
it was very monotonous up until that point. So I'm glad I was able to entertain at least.
Yeah. Well, that definitely was been a memorable moment.
It
And
was.
yeah.
So now my husband and I, among our friends, we're called the fruitful couple. So the fruitful duo, yeah.
Yeah, for especially the past 2 years during the whole lockdown and everything, because I see you on social media, on I think both on Twitter and also on Facebook, and I'm not really an Instagram person, but I do see you.
I've not been active there either, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so adorable to see both of you. The way that you always say like, oh, this is my setup for work,
Yeah.
work from home and streaming. Then this is his setup, and then you're like in the same room, right?
Yeah.
But like on different workstations.
Yeah,
just
it's
like
two different worlds.
It's so adorable. Yeah, it's so adorable. Actually, I thought it was like
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will definitely let him know. He's an all black person, very he has his own aesthetic because he works in IT, so he likes to keep everything neat and tidy. I'm a chaos. So I have stuff everywhere. I went from a laptop setup to now a white PC setup, but it's not even aesthetically pretty looking, so I don't post pictures on my desk. But it's a very stark difference because his is all black and mine is all white, but very messy.
Well, as they say, opposites attract.
That's true.
The yin and the yang,
That's
the
true.
positive and the negative, North Pole and South Pole. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I still find it funny because I think I remember doing one video where I did like a not day in the life, but it was to compare. He was doing like his serious coding work, and there were numbers and alphabets on the screen, and then here I am making memes on my laptop. But that's what we do for a living now. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, and that's that's a whole different. It's definitely a generational thing, And
It
then,
is.
And then trying to wrap my head around social media and all that, and maybe I could learn a thing or two, like from you.
Can. I'm always down to chat. I love talking about social media. I'm just tired of the way the company is always changing things up, but the community, the people who actually made this movement happen because of the pandemic, they are the ones that making me love to be on social media and know how to find the joy in it. Yeah, it doesn't feel stressful. Last time I feel like you have to meet certain standards, but now everyone doesn't care. We were in pandemic for 2 years. Nobody has makeup on. Everybody was in pajamas. So the walls are down. We're all a bit more chill nowadays.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. And that's probably a good place where we can start. Maybe, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Right. And what do you do now before we dive into
Okay.
dive into where before
was
we dive
from.
into the past, where you're from and where I first knew you from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we got to know each other. I just remember whatever happens. It was probably from Walter and Alfic's band, and then internship. But that's what I remember. But my name's Mel, or at least that's what I tell people to call me, because my name is way too complicated for some people to pronounce.
Oh, I know the feeling. The feeling is neutral.
I understand.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. So I go by Mel. I'm a Sri Lankan who moved here after PMR. I was pretty headstrong. Pretty sure I still am, but I've toned down quite a lot. And right after SPM, I've made up my mind to do something related to music. Found out I wasn't very good at music. I wasn't good at playing. I can play 4 instruments, but I'm not great at all of them. It's just I know a little bit of this. So I thought I wanted to go the producer route. Then felt like I was still falling short in that area. Decided in the end to be an engineer, because I still can work with musicians. I can still work with creatives. I can still enjoy concerts. And realize that I love being behind the scenes and watching. It's such a ridiculous thing. You work hard for 6 months just to watch one concert. But I love that. I love the fact that everyone would put in their effort, everyone do their part, and then just to watch the concert for 3 hours and then tear down the stage that same night. It's a thing that I realized I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
I went to ICOM right after SPM, so I guess that would be around July 2011. I didn't bother doing the degree because it was too much money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then also realized it's the engineering, the audio production certificate was more than enough for me
Yeah.
to get me started at
Mhm.
least. So I did a year and a half of that. And then I've just been working since before I even turned 20.
Mm.
So I've always loved to work. I have been all kinds of things. I've been dubbed Bakau Liao by a lot of friends. So I've done a lot of stage work. I've been a patch manager for Good Vibes Festival. I've
Mhm.
been sound engineer for local bands, international bands. I've even been overseas to mix a little bit. Like the band I'm gonna plug, Sekumpulan Orang Gila. We went to Manila together,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
those are some of the highlights of my career as a sound engineer.
Yeah.
Now I am a social media strategist. I work as a freelance social media strategist.
Yeah. The other way I would put it and the way I see it, you're a lady of many talents.
Oh,
you know?
thank you.
Yeah.
That's so
You-
kind of you.
Yeah, because you were able to adapt and do so many different things. You see, so you went and you enrolled in. You didn't go for the BMOS. You went for the CAP.
I did. I
Right.
went for the cap. Yeah.
Hmm. The CAP is refresh my memory because there's BMOS lah, there's CAP, and then there's talk that they are going to introduce a diploma or something like that. There was talk about it lah.
In my
So,
day, we had CAP, Diploma in Business, and
right.
BMOS.
Mhm.
BMOS before BMOS is the foundation.
Mm.
That's what I remember. I don't remember anything else.
Yeah. I don't know what it is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard talk that there was going to be something in between. I know there was even the diploma in business. I don't think they have it anymore.
Oh, I see.
I think again, I'm
Okay.
assuming someone please correct me if I'm wrong. But because I think last year or a year or two ago, I was actually asked. That's I think Freddie approached me.
That's a name I haven't heard in years.
Even Miss Irene
Oh, wow.
contacted me
Okay.
and said that we would want you to be on this panel to sort of there were a couple of other people. I think Alex also was on it, like Stan, right, was also on it
Wow.
to sort of work out some like a diploma, but I never heard anything after that. Maybe because the plans didn't come to fruition because of MCO and all that lah. Maybe lah. Maybe lah.
I think since you mentioned that, I might have some memory related to that. I remember, I think after I left, at the very least, they were gonna reduce the cost of CAP so they could bring in diploma, so that it's like an in between CAP and BMOS, but for engineering. So, back in my day, at least, it used to cost me 40,000 for a year and a half worth of
Cap cost 40K.
40K. Yeah,
Okay, right, and that
Yeah.
was already 1.5.
1.5 years. Yeah,
Ooh, wow.
it's quite a lot. Yeah.
For a certificate.
It is. It was. So I think, they may have received some feedback like that. And I remember, I could be wrong. I don't really trust my memory that much. But I think after I left, they decided to reduce it to 20K. But you don't get the laptops and the plugins that come with it.
I
That's kind of
see.
one of the reasons why it was quite high. I think the
Yeah.
first semester I had to pay like 17K for all of those stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money, If you want to study engineering, I suggest you just go out and get a real world experience, but get your foundations right first. Long story short, I remember they were going to reduce it. You don't get a laptop, but you have to work a lot at their studio, their multimedia room. They had, I think, a lot of iMac that they bought for students to use. Whether or not it's efficient for the students, that's a different story. But I remember something like that.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, both what you and I we're just actually both speculating here. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's true. I
yeah.
don't have any facts. Don't ask me.
Yeah, so we don't represent ICOM, right? We can't speak on their behalf. So, right, anyone who's listening to this, go and check out the website.
Yeah,
right?
ask
Call them
them.
for all the info, okay?
Correct,
We are
yes.
not the right source for all this. We're just
Yeah.
trying to,
Remember.
just going back down memory lane and all that.
Yep.
And yes, so ICOM is where both of us had the our common ground, right?
Yep,
That's
yep.
where our common connection is. And I was trying to remember you mentioned, I think the first time where we met was during some of the sessions. We met during some of the sessions for An Honest Mistake and maybe for Army of Three as well.
And if I want to go a bit
Mm.
before that, I think definitely for Perimeter Bridge when they were recording their
Right. Okay.
album.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I was here late at night, and then after that is when I started interning with you. But that's
Mhm.
as far back as I can remember. That's around 2012 when they
Mhm.
were recording their
Yeah.
album. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
2012,
did you
2013.
intern? Did you intern with me?
I
Was
did. I did for
What?
like 2 months.
Oh, okay. That was part of the cap, right?
No, it wasn't. I decided to come after I work. So I
Mhm.
was working in ICOM right after I graduated. So
Mhm.
that's in 2013.
Yeah.
And then because I wasn't doing any engineering work at that point. I was just honestly just helping out with technical support.
Yep.
So I wanted to learn a little bit from you. And so I asked you if I could help you out, intern with you. Right. So as soon as I was done with work, I finished work at 6. I had drove from all the way from KL. I'm here with you at 7 until like maybe 11 for 2 months. And then I couldn't really handle the lack of sleep. So I withdrew myself. But it was a good learning experience.
Right,
I learned
right.
a few things from you that I could remember. Like your procrastination joke. That is something I will cement in my mind forever.
No. What was that? Was that like
You said, I'm a pro.
at pro? All right.
I procrastinate. Yeah, that's what you said. You're talking about the mic stands and how you could never find the time to get them fixed or get them replaced at least. Yeah.
Right. I had some busted mic stands
Yeah,
which
you
I
did.
never got around,
Yep.
replacing.
You did. One of my favorite tip that I learned from you is that after every recording takes, you went straight into getting some mixes done, some ideas that you have, so you don't forget later on when you work on it on a larger scale. And that's something that I feel like I can relate because I'd love to do that because I know I'll forget if I come back to the session and I'll be like, what did I want to do on this guitar? I don't remember anymore. But at least that's what I observe. I don't remember if that's how you work exactly, but I have worked with other engineers where they will record everything, but then they don't come back to it until they've recorded everything. So
Okay.
everybody's workflow is different,
Right,
but I
exactly.
related to your
Yep.
workflow at that
Right,
time. Yeah.
right. I have to try and process a lot of this, sometimes information and data also, because you were talking about stuff which is like 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, a while ago,
and,
yeah.
and trying to process, did I really say that? Did I really do that? Okay, yeah, okay. All right. So, as we know, our memories are not usually, not always
Yeah.
the most reliable, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can confidently say that, yeah, lah, that is, Yeah. So then moving on, after you finish cap, right? This is around the time you already finished finish your cap, and then you were not really getting you said you're not really getting work yet. When was like your first serious work that you got into, the first proper gig or job?
About a year after that. So, excuse me. After CAP, I finished CAP in late 2012, so December 2012. After that, I worked with ICOM for a full year. After I resigned from ICOM, because I felt like I want to do something more, I started working as a freelancer here and there doing small gigs with Mokhtar. Mokhtar is another person that I really look up to, and he helped me jumpstart most of my engineering related career. I used to do a lot of small events with him, so I'll have him set up. Sometimes I'll jaga the mixer, but that's about it. And then suddenly he slowly promote me to do something bigger, jaga the B a bit more, for about 7 months. And then after that, I work full time with the company that manages laundry.
Laundry, yep.
Then I work freelance for them. So it's a lot of freelance and full time changes in my career.
Yeah.
After that freelance period, I work with Big A. After Big A, I worked freelance for the B. So I was there for quite a bit. After that, because the B changed management, so someone else was taking over. So for a brief period, I didn't really have work. So I went back home to my hometown for a bit. But when I came back, I worked full time with a broadcasting company as their marketing manager. So that's kind of like properly where my marketing work starts. But for a brief period of time between 2013 to 2019, it was mostly freelance sound engineers slash stage managers, stage crew, and full time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, 2013, 2019, that's a span of like 6, 7 years, so it's
Yeah.
not exactly brief. That's
Yeah.
that's a good amount of time, I say, to build a lot of experience and to build your portfolio and to build your credibility lah, and
Correct.
your
Yeah.
experience. I see you all the time at the B, at the laundry, always behind the console
I do.
doing
Yeah.
something, so go over and then say hi, hello to you,
Yep. Yep.
and often also when you with Big A, obviously, right? Did you ever tag around when we do our shows, like my band's shows?
Your shows were categorized as the bigger shows. If I'm not there, then most likely I was at Play Space or some other smaller shows. So I'm usually head of the smaller shows.
Yeah.
For my team, there's always just maximum of 3 of us, and then we call team everything.
Right.
Your side is probably bigger, so they have a bit more hands-on. To support Anthony mostly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because if Anthony would bring around why do I keep forgetting her name?
Natalie.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! Every time I see her, I always forget her name.
Right.
I feel so bad because I always see her, but I always
Right.
keep forgetting Natalie's
Yeah,
name.
names are not my strong suit either.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
But I remember Natalie, Rowan would usually always be there as well, lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so you were in charge of like the
Smaller shows.
yeah.
I'm almost always at Play Space at that time.
Yep.
And I would cover all of the the metal bands
Yeah.
and making sure that we can set up everything. No one breaks anything, but
they don't trash the
they
place.
don't trash the place. Make sure the aircon is cold. Remind them to close the door every time someone goes in and out. Those kind of things. But we also call team a lot of smaller shows where we handle all the setup all on ourselves. Yeah. So they will handle the bigger festivals usually. Yeah.
That was awesome. But hey, I think no matter big or small, all of it's good as well.
Yep. I sure think so because a lot of my work, a lot of good relationships in the B was because of the smaller shows because all of them started playing at the B more.
Yeah.
So then everyone kind of already trusted me.
Yeah.
Before this, it took quite a bit for people to trust a female engineer. I gotta have to bring my gender into the mix because I do get a lot of second thoughts from people when you have someone that is not their gender to mix for them. But yeah, because of these smaller shows, I was able to connect with a community that I didn't think I would connect. I'm not with the so-called big shots, people who have been in the industry for so long. I'm with these smaller communities who just want to play to have fun, maybe make a little bit of money on the side, but everyone's so close to each other. I was able to get on their good side. They were comfortable with me. So when they play at the B, it was very easy for them to just trust me.
Yeah. And I'm sure some of these bands, right, have come from that underground, independent level
Correct.
and have now, elevated themselves to, the big stage and the big names.
Yeah.
And the saying goes, right, rising tide raises all boats. So I see great benefit, especially anyone who's young. You don't necessarily have to want to attach yourself to I have got to work with the big names and all that. Yes, it's good aspiration, but sometimes there's great value in working and building up that and being with that community. And when that rises and then when they elevate themselves to the next level, they usually hopefully they also pull you along with them.
I
Right?
agree. I mean, that's one of the things that SOG did with me.
Yes.
We were doing a lot of gigs together for many months. They even decided to bring me to Manila with them.
Yeah.
So that
SummerSlam, right?
yeah, it was. I didn't think that was ever gonna happen in my life. I didn't think I would ever gonna mix internationally. And the funny thing is, they gave us the SL6 to mix on. But I don't have experience working with a board like that. A lot of the times I tell myself, everybody will somehow feel the same, just a different workflow. Maybe it's a little bit different from the other boards. But then the Midas, I don't know if I got it correct, but the C2 Pro is on the left, and it's one I use every day at the B. But I wasn't allowed to use that. It was meant for the band that
For the
was
headliners
the
and all
headliners.
that.
So I was
Okay.
just like, and the funny part was that the guy who was helping them, the headliners, to set up the board, he had to ask me for help to set up that board. So because he doesn't have experience with that board, he prefers to use SL6. So that was one of the funny exchange I remember from being a sound engineer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. How was that? Talk about that experience. How was that experience like? Talk about SummerSlam. This was 2017, was it?
No, I think it's a little later
18.
than that. It's either 18 or 19.
Okay. Yeah.
Could be 19 because 18 is when I started working at the B.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of full-time freelance.
Wow. So
basis.
2019.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels so long ago.
It does. It felt like a lifetime ago.
Exactly. 2019. That was the last year where we had. Yeah.
We had a normal life. Yes,
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
2019 is one of my biggest year. It's also the year that I got married. So there were a lot of wonderful things that happened that year. Going to Manila was one of them. That experience was I definitely nothing short of memorable. I got to work one of my favorite band. I never thought that I could work alongside them, even locally. They're funny dudes. They're dudes also with lame jokes. I treasure them so much. And I just love that they are not only talented, but they are very strong in their musical foundation as well.
Yeah.
I know some of them have musical background in
Correct.
uni.
Yep. Yeah.
But to see them even talking about the scales that they're using during jamming session, I'm just like, I have no idea what you're saying, but I can try and make you sound good. That's all I know. But to see them verbalize, the theory that I'm supposed to learn in school, it's astounding because you don't see a lot of bands saying it out loud, what miscellaneous scales and all of that. I'm not strong in that foundation, but I will always respect them for the musicians that they are.
Yeah, those UITM kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can. I mean, actually, a lot of the UITM is always considered putting out a lot of good students, and look, even though on the production side, they say the engineering production side, they may not be on par, let's say, with the others, but I think eventually they might catch up. Once those subjects are being introduced. But musically wise, they're solid, rock solid.
Very,
In terms of musician, composition, arrangement, performance.
Oh my God, yes.
They're very, very strong. Yeah.
Very, yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I love being a live sound engineer. I will mention a bit why I couldn't do studio, but mostly because I love watching what they write maybe in the living room become a big thing on stage where they put together this visual effect, this visual performance that is beyond their music. I mean, their music is already so good. I get goosebumps. I would headbang with them when I, I'm not so conscious about how I look. But also like the way they show the meanings behind their songs and their performance is another thing that I love watching from behind the board. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. They've got everything. They have the music, they have the showmanship, the stage, the performance, but also as well visually. Visually they got that whole they got all those elements down lah.
Yep. They plan like what they're gonna do during this 8 bars, and then what they're gonna do after that, who's doing what and stuff. Everything is so meticulously planned. I after a while I can memorize already what they want to do, and I love watching them. I enjoy watching them from the board. Yeah.
Sweet, awesome. So I mean, I'm sure there have been so many memories, memorable events. Besides, so what would be the most memorable, or you can maybe name a few.
Memorable as a engineer or as my career generally?
Well, I would say both as an engineer, as a career. Yeah.
Okay.
Not specifically restricted to just being on the board. Yeah.
Okay.
It could be even an event where you're doing stage management or something like that.
I have a few that I would definitely remember for as long as I've lived. The biggest one, other than mixing SOG in Manila is
Yep.
actually being a patch manager for Good Vibes.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I could do patching. I mean, I patch, for smaller shows. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't have like charts and whatever and trying to remember for each band. And it was also the year and the stage where Caudaline was performing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of them. I was just like, I was very excited. I don't have a bigger word than excited. But yeah, it was an interesting experience for me because it was the first time for me that I've ever involved in a festival on that scale.
Mm.
And also I've never worked officially as a patch manager. It's like a title that, that was given to me.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I used Excel sheet to plan my patching to make sure that, the connections are
Yeah.
correct.
We know how
Yeah.
important that is. Okay, the whole
Yeah.
show really.
It relies
Yeah.
on me. I gotta make sure my patch bay is correct and the monitoring wall and the front of house
Yes.
is communicating properly. It was a lot of stress. I've never had any experience to that scale ever prior to the festival. So it was my first and only official title as a patch manager, and I think I did a really good job. We didn't have any hiccups at all. We only had a few setbacks in terms of the equipment not working to the standards, but I never got to obviously talk to the band officially. With bands that big of a scale, it's usually their tech people that would come and
Yep.
sound check for them.
Yeah.
And when they look at the conditions of the equipment, they weren't sure if we were able to, what do you call that, deliver
Yeah.
exactly. A lot of the stuff don't look as good as they should, but once they've talked to me and once I've showed them my plan, like this is how I've decided to split, the equipments and how I'm gonna patch them. I remember looking at this guy. His name is Michael. He let out a sigh of relief. Like, okay, I'm gonna trust you. I know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing.
You
yeah.
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he called me Helen because he forgot my name.
Oh boy.
I had to correct him, but that's something that I treasure and I find
Yeah.
it funny. But I remember him looking at me. He was like, "Okay, you got this. I will just make sure that everyone has sound and it all sounds as good as it
Yep,
should be."
yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to what Mike.
Michael,
Shout out-
Mike, yeah,
Shout out to Michael, man. Right.
yeah.
Who was for which band?
Codaline,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
who was-
Shout out to Michael.
yeah. So that's one of the big gigs that I will always remember. It was also the same stage Dua Lipa was on, and Dua
Yep.
Lipa was just coming up at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
That was in 2017, and
now,
then
now we can't afford her lah. Nah,
No, I don't think
so.
no,
Yeah.
but it's okay. I enjoy her
It's
music
alright,
anyway.
Yeah. Mhm.
The next one was on a much smaller scale. But it's also, I wish I could remember his name now. I feel bad, but he's a singer for the band The Click.
Click 5?
Is it The Click 5? Oh God.
Click 5 are the ones that they are all Berkeley grads on. Right?
Yeah,
Mm.
he came down. Oh, God.
Then they had he was the new singer, or was he the old lead singer? I'm trying to remember also.
Okay, wait. Can I just confirm that The Click 5 has a song Jenny, right? No.
I can't remember.
I'm so
I think
sorry.
so.
I'm very bad with names, but like
Yeah.
I should have like probably put this somewhere. But yeah, I mixed for he was my first international artist that I mixed. He came alone,
Yeah.
and he's with his friend, I think Jesse Rubin. I remember his name, but I don't remember the headliner's name.
It's alright.
But-
Whoever listens to this, they'll correct us in the
Probably.
comments. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, so they came down to play at the B, and they didn't bring any engineer with them. I guess save costs.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity to mix them. So that was a big thing. And then after that, I remember his drummer's name. His drummer's name is Joey, and he and his wife. The brand is Mr. Kate. They have a YouTube channel together. So I think it's the Click 5. It's definitely the Click 5.
Okay, all right.
So then after that was Bruno Major. Bruno Major is a British singer-songwriter. He came down also. And he also has had quite a big fan base locally. And he was testing out some new songs with the crowd. That one is more on the mellow side. Also
Yeah.
didn't come with an engineer. But again, it's I mixed two international artists. I never
Yeah.
thought I could ever do that in my career ever. So those two were I've done them at the B. Yeah. So the
Right.
B has a lot of good memories there.
Yep, yep. So everything from locally, you did B, you did Good Vibes,
I
you worked at Good Vibes, and then of course, right, at the SummerSlam, the
I did, yeah.
Amorato Stadium. I was joking with them, with the boys about SummerSlam. It's like we'll always say like, oh, be careful of the net.
The net.
Okay, the little side story. They used
Okay.
to traditionally always have a net in front of the stage,
Okay.
and the reason why you had the net was it's basically to protect and block against
Oh.
flying projectiles.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think when my band, when we played, the net was still there, and usually the flying projectiles, it's mineral water bottles.
Mm-hmm.
It's not water in it.
Oh no. Don't tell me. I don't
Yeah.
want to know.
Okay,
But
yeah.
okay.
But it's basically what they do, and the crowd just does it for fun. They just get a
Oh,
little bit crazy, they get a little bit wild. But I think maybe, I guess, the audiences have mellowed down a little bit, so there was
Probably.
no net during that year, lah.
Probably.
Yeah.
They didn't have a net when they were playing. I mean, the stage was wide open.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy happened, but they did play in an earlier slot, so maybe nothing crazy happened yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
But
Maybe.
traditionally, there was what we always, were always tell people, oh, be careful of the net, don't go in front of the net.
Okay.
Stay clear away from it. You don't want to be hit and then doused with bodily fluids.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, nobody wants that. No.
Nobody wants that. Yeah. Who was headlining that year? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Don't
Very
remember.
bad with names.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
bad with names. And then I also went back right after that also. Tired from the travels mostly,
Mhm.
but I don't remember who was headlining that day.
Yeah. Anyway, it's more of a boys trip. Anyway,
It's true.
let
It's
the boys
true.
go and
I
do
was
what
the
they
only
do.
girl in the group.
Yeah.
We had to share a very small space, but we made it work. We made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, over to state to state the obvious,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to you mentioned it earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? How did it feel like being, being a woman in this industry?
You have to work a bit harder than the boys. You have to work 10 times harder at least
Mm-hmm.
to show that you can carry stuff. I mean, it's all in the legs. You don't really need to have the strength. You have to know how to cooperate and communicate when you carry stuff, carry flight cases, carry backline. I have set up and tear down and set up the stage every day for a whole week without any break, without any help. So I would say in the beginning of my career, it was a little bit harder because it's not something that you see. In fact, for me, even I don't see. Maybe I just don't know how to network also back then, but I don't see many female engineers, at least within our community. I'd love to get to know some. I just don't know anybody until now. I don't know how to seek out, also find and get to know people, but that's my flaw. So I have to work hard. I have to show people that I can mix. And also another thing that comes with being a female is that you get a lot of misogynistic treatment. Like I'm always reminded to smile more. I do have a resting bitch face, and I acknowledge that, but my resting bitch face make me look angry, and so people will already immediately think I'm not friendly.
Yeah.
But you don't say that to another guy. I know many guys who look grumpy, and they are grumpy, and it's very hard to approach them. But I don't go and up to them and tell them to smile, so I could feel better about myself. You see?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, that unfortunately that is the reality, lah. Right? Being a girl, being a woman in this male dominated field,
Yep.
it's disgusting, lah. Hey, senyum lah, sikit.
It's really
It's
annoying.
like,
Yeah.
But I again, I'm not someone who is so much in the live sound, and I have to agree with you. I don't see enough, right? Women and girls, right? In this field.
Yep.
most of the girl engineers that I know, right, some of them have interned for me in the past. Most of them pretty much go into either the studio, more towards
Yep.
towards
Actually,
post
yes.
production.
Now I remember one
Yeah.
or two faces. Yeah.
Yeah, so not that many in the live sound, and
Yeah.
and well, again, hopefully, right,
Hopefully,
hopefully we
yeah.
will see more, we will see a little bit more, a little bit more diversity and a bit more balance, right?
Yeah. It's not easy to also find a group of colleagues that would also make you feel safe.
Mm,
I find that in the early start of my career, I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how
yep.
to tell them, certain jokes are not funny actually, but I forced myself to laugh because it was a societal norm.
Yeah.
But over the time, I know at least from, I think, let's see, 2017 onwards,
Mm,
that I really select who I want to work with.
mm-hmm.
And thankfully, there were a few clients who were kind enough to do some referrals for me and send me to other rental companies. And they were all the same, all very respectful,
Mm-hmm.
making me feel safe. And their jokes are just very lame, silly jokes, nothing to do with, it's the imbalance of gender
Yeah.
norms. So it really pays off, and I do feel like as a girl, as a female gender, you have to speak up a bit more, but then like you have to remind myself not to sound rude. I've had I've been refused to mix for HM once because the person thought I was rude, but we're in a concert, it's loud, I needed to communicate with him, so obviously naturally I'm going to speak a little bit louder
Yeah.
than what my monotonous voice is. But then like they would tell Darren like, oh, she's very rude, I don't want her to mix. So then I'm just there like, what did I say? Like I just said like, can I prepare the board before the band goes up, so that I know exactly what to do, because I wasn't even allowed to sound check. So I had very little preparation.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that really got me thinking like, okay, if I have to remind myself to tell them like, okay, I'm not angry, I have to like preface it a bit, and I'm not angry, I'm just trying to ask like, what's the status on this, can I have to sound like extra polite, because anything less than that
Yeah,
is gonna
it's
sound
deemed
true.
exactly. Yeah, it's deemed as
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and it's really unfair that girls are set to like a different standard.
It is, yeah.
As to if a guy comes up and
Yep.
you approach someone in this field, this tech.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I've decided, I think around that time, after working with Anthony, at least after I've realized, I've got some skills that I've learned from working with Big A, working with Anthony. I'm gonna carry on, be a freelancer again, with a little bit more confidence this time, and I did pretty okay at the
Yep.
B. Most of the time we've had some incidents, but I did pretty okay. I knew better on how to talk to clients and make sure that they don't think I'm rude. I have to smile a little bit more. One of the things that I'm grateful for from this pandemic, I don't like to start that sentence that way because it's a lot of unfortunate events, but wearing a mask does really help you to cover your resting bitch face. At least in my case, when I talk to people, they don't think I'm grumpy anymore. I have so much less comments regarding my face in that
Oh,
area. So
but these are always coming from people who don't know you, right?
That's
and it's like
true.
it's an unfounded, it's a really unfair statement,
It's true. Yeah.
I've knowing you, and I'm sure your friends and the bands who know you would never think about it that way.
Well, yes and no. But you'll always still have some relatives telling you to smile a bit, cheer up a bit. I'm just there like, I was just zoning out. I wasn't even thinking about anything, and now I
Yeah.
gotta remind myself to smile every 5 minutes.
I mean, yeah. So if a guy has got this, serious resting bitch face, so to speak, right? The equivalent, right? They're just being touted as he's being very serious.
Yeah.
Oh wow, he's taking his job very seriously.
Yeah. Stop thinking deep and stuff.
Yeah, but then if a girl does that, it's like you just trying
Yep.
to be this girl is very rude, very standoffish.
Yep.
It's just girls are just being put to it. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
That's where the imbalance and the inequality is not there.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know if there are any aspiring female engineers out there. The only advice that I would have for them is to just be strong. There's no other way to put it. You just have to, mentally strong. Ignore what these people say and just do your work. Do the best that you can. And if ever you feel like there is a challenge coming, voice it out. At least talk to the band. There are certain things that you cannot do. I know some bands can have some unrealistic expectations on what they want. Maybe they don't even communicate, they want more guitar and you're like, where, which monitor, tell me. But, there are certain things that you have to figure out along the way and just do your best.
Yeah,
is what I'll say.
But that's just poor communication skills on their part,
On their part, yeah. But then, like you as a sound engineer, if they sound bad, you're the first person that they will look at first.
Unfortunately, it's always the stereotype is like, oh, whatever thing is problem, always point and look at the sound, sound guy or sound girl.
Exactly, yeah. So I remember you tweeted about this a long time ago. You said something along the lines where I don't remember how exactly you tweeted, but I remember like the context and how I keep it in my life. But like 50% of the band sounding good is just them learning how to listen to themselves and actually composing, arranging the instruments around what it should sound like before they even step into the studio, before they even step on stage. The context being that if they know how to give each other the space that they need to sound good, arrange it in such a way that they complement each other. The engineer's work is just to make sure that it sounds good on the speakers, it sounds good on the album. I don't remember exactly what you write, but that is something that I remember telling myself, if they sound bad, they just sound bad. You don't have to beat yourself up for it. And I beat myself up a lot because, expectations.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are artists. We are engineers are also artists,
Yep.
The term that's actually I like to use is I like to call engineers secondary sound transduction artists.
That's a mouthful, but okay.
Yeah, I know. Yes, it's intentionally meant to be that way because this was something that was written on the forum, lah.
Right.
But basically, that's it. The artists, the musicians, they are the primary transduction artists. They are the ones that the source is from them.
Yeah.
And if the source garbage in, garbage out lah.
Yeah, exactly. You also said mixing isn't fixing. So that's something that I always try to tell the bands just please work yourself out before I help balance you on stage.
Yeah. I think I've talked with other live sound engineers also. Like Anthony has got a lot of stories of some bands that he has mixed for and then never mixed for again because of what the things that he said to them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Another person that I look up to, like I said just now, is Mokhtar.
Yes.
And I remember the way he talks to musicians. He's ever so patient.
Yeah.
I don't know where he gets his patience. I mean, when you work with so many people, you would expect that you have some kind of, but he's so patient. And I remember when he talked to this one guitarist, he'd be like, can you increase your drive a bit? Or can you reduce your clean sound a bit? Like he patiently guides them to the sound that he thinks would be the best for the band. And then when he mixed them, they just sound like they came out from an album. But he's someone that I look up to when it comes to live sound work.
Yeah.
And I try to talk like him and at least know what I'm saying also when I'm talking to the guitarist and try to get the sound that they should for the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mokhtar is super cool, right?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen him lose his chill except I think once only lah. Only ever once.
I've never seen him lose his cool.
But yeah, because he's very, very calm,
he's
when he
so
talks.
spoken.
Exactly, Yeah. Looks like a person who wouldn't hurt a fly.
Nope. He's my favorite mentor.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot, both in studio and live sound, and I will always carry with me the lessons that he taught us. Yeah.
Right. Shout out to Mokhtar, man. Yeah.
We're shouting out a lot of people today that I admire.
Yeah. I mean, we're all connected in some way. It's very fascinating, actually.
Yep.
It's a small industry. Everyone knows each other in some way or another.
Yep.
There's connection. So look, I mean, in this business, you cannot be an asshole. You cannot afford to be an asshole. You cannot afford to be a bitch. It's a small it's a small industry. Word gets around.
Yep.
And you will always get hired because if you are easy and you're nice
Yep.
to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you get hired back. Yeah.
That's another thing that I was hyper aware of, because my gender, people easily would have some kind of ideas about you before they've even seen your work, right? And that's something that I try to overcome as much as I can, because, like you said, the world is small, the community is small, word gets around very fast. I've had trouble trying to get a full-time work because apparently people were talking about me and I don't know what my problem was. I almost didn't got that job, but thankfully this company decides to hire me and gave me a chance. But other than that, I always felt like I definitely need to work extra hard just to show them, like, I can work. I don't know what these people are saying. Like, is the industry that unforgiving? Can't they just talk to me and tell me what my issues are? And I do have some band members. We're friends now, but they have come to me and told me, yeah, back then when I saw you at laundry, I thought you were really unfriendly. We didn't really like you. But after talking to you for a while, I realized you're actually not that bad. So that's why I posted that Facebook post, because I can be like, unaware of my surrounding, and I may have come across rude, but I just wanted to at least trace back and see and understand what part of it is something that I made up and which part of it is actually me unintentionally rude. Yeah.
It's like you can never it's cliche lah, judge by a book by its
That's
cover or
true.
something.
True.
It's the content of the character. You cannot judge it just from an appearance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you never come across that to me, okay? To me lah, right? I don't know, right? Maybe my eyesight something, or their eyesight is something wrong, you see? Yeah. So that's a lot of great things to share about. And personally, for me, going back, I think as far back as maybe 06, 07, when I first started this studio, and when I first started taking interns, many of I would say the best interns that I've had were girls. Were female. In the sense
power.
of girl power, you go girl.
Yeah.
In terms of their quality of their work, their attention to detail. I remember, I don't know whether you remember Jessica Chong, all right?
I'm very bad with names.
But again,
a while ago.
She's very, very senior to you already.
Okay, all right.
If I was 99 to 2003, 2004, okay?
Oh, wow.
So that is, so that is like, what? That's like good more than 10 years before you.
Definitely, yeah.
Went in. So
Very,
anyway,
very senior.
So there was Jessica, there was others as well. So girls always really impressed me. And from a very, very early on, I'll share you this. I digress a little bit into this little side story lah, all right, of where I really took my hats off towards girls in audio, in live sound, so to speak. This was actually from my experience touring in Japan.
Okay.
Right? And the thing is, a lot of the stage hands, a lot of the crew in the Japanese live houses somehow or rather turned out to be girls. There are a lot of girls of Japanese girls of the stage hand, the stage crew, who are girls. Maybe, it's part-time work or something like that. Again, it's because of their attention to detail. How they set up everything, how they mic everything up. Maybe the girls just do it really, really well. That's why they get hired to the job. But the one incident which really cements in my memory is this. This is in 2007. We were in Nagoya, so that was our middle stop, right? We did Osaka, Nagoya, and Tokyo. So Nagoya is the middle stop. So there's this venue, and we were there at a sound check. Okay, and stagehands were around, and then after, so we just lepak at the backstage lah, right, waiting for time to come. Then in Japan, all the bands have their own equipment. Every time every time there's a turnover, new amp come out, right? So that is very, very common. over there.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Interesting.
So I think this was turned over between one band and another, and then backstage. So the stage is up here. The backstage is like slightly lower. The main stage, there's a little staircase that goes up.
Uh-huh.
Down comes from this staircase this tiny waif of a girl,
Okay.
so small size,
Okay.
right? And she was carrying a 4x12 by herself.
Oh my gosh, you must work out.
I was like, you know,
4x12.
yeah, she was carrying it by herself. You know, you can carry both sides, right?
Yeah,
4x12,
yeah.
right? But she was carrying it by herself,
Oh my god.
and we were like a bit taken aback. Like, we was like, "Are you okay?" This was like because she's like,
so small.
Yeah, so
maybe
small,
I
and
don't know,
then carrying
5 feet less than that.
yeah, you know,
So-
and then you know, it's like, you know, she could have broke. It looks like she was going to break her back or something like that, kind of thing. But she was like, "Oh, okay, no problem, no problem." And then from that day onwards, right, obviously my level of respect
Wow.
for you know, women and girls in audio in especially in live sound lah, right, is there, because and I would never ever complain about carrying and lugging gear because I saw this girl, right.
Right.
If this tiny little Japanese girl can carry a 4x12 cap, why should I complain, right, about
Right,
carrying
right.
gear and equipment, you know?
Means her
So
gains must be good.
I don't know. I think my imagination was I saw her again maybe in the next tour we did in 2009 because it's the same venue. Could be my imagination lah.
Could be.
So still looks the same
Oh
to me
wow.
lah. Yeah, whether it was the same girl working there. But anyway, I digress lah. You know, so girl power indeed, man. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was working full time with Anthony also, my favorite team of people are always just the girls, you know. We get make fun a lot with our labels, our tapes, our markers. Very colorful, but you know, that's how we organize things. That's how we make sure that the stage is organized.
Yeah.
I always get like I cannot tahan when I see the stage is very messy also. Like, so we will have like our own what we call highway, you know, our the way we lay our cables. Before we even put on the tapes, it's already very neat and tidy. And then we have our own ways of working. And I just love working with girls for this reason because we can keep, you know, our cable work very clean. It's not just chinchai everywhere. Ow,
Yes.
sorry.
But, okay there.
But I'm okay. But yeah, and I just remembered now. There is another female live sound engineer, but she was working, I think, full time with the company, so she doesn't have a lot of live sound work for that company. But she is a very good, very very good engineer. She's got really good ears, and she came from a musician background also. So she's actually kind of perfect pitch. So she's another person that I respect. I just unfortunately forgot that.
Forgot her name?
But I remember her name. Her name is Vivian. Vivian Tan. She also was my junior from college, but she we don't really work closely together. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't remember her. I remember people better when I talk to them more or work with them more. Oh God, what is their company? I don't remember the name. Oh, she was working for a company called EHQ, and then they became Gabong Chipta.
Right.
And then she went with Andrew under AWP.
Okay.
So so she is
Andrew Warren. Yep.
Yeah, Andrew Warren.
Yep.
I think she's the only female engineer in their company for many years, and she knows how to set up the line arrays and stuff like that. She's done more bigger shows than me. I just haven't had the chance to work with her, so unfortunately I couldn't remember her, but she is someone that I definitely respect a lot as well as an engineer.
Yeah. Shout out to Vivian.
Shout out Vivian. Yeah. I wish I could definitely have I'm hoping at least when, you know, kind of the industry goes back to somewhat normal. I know we're all trying. I'd love to meet more female engineers, more female stage crews, female stage managers. I know Carmen was the stage manager for Good Vibes for many years, and she's so good at her work. They keep calling her back to do Good Vibes. But I don't see anyone else. I remember on, at least during my year in Good Vibes, I could be wrong, and I don't think I noticed anyone else, but Carmen was the only female on her stage, and then on our stage was just me and Natalie. I'd love to see me, Natalie, and band manager Jolene. I'd love to see more people, more female stagehands and engineers in our industry. Yeah.
Yep. Likewise, you know, preach. Yeah, you know,
I think
we definitely need more because again, the level of work and the quality of work, attention to detail, a lot of guys just don't have that, Yeah.
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 It's when they do, it's such a rare sight,
Mhm.
I have yet. I mean, maybe it's just me being picky, but I've yet to meet someone, a guy who that lays down cable that doesn't just just throw it down. I'd love to see one that was a bit more meticulous in the way they lay cables. But,
Mhm.
but that's just me. That's just my preference. But I've yet to
Mhm.
work with people like that, at least
Right.
in my
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. Yeah. I like people do that. I was taught and trained that way as
Mhm.
well. In how you lay your cables, you should be not only because it's just you're not just being because you're OCD or something
Yeah.
like that. It's not because you're
I
OCD.
feel like it's partly work ethics and the way your attitude is to work
Yeah.
towards the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even for the basics, one of the more basic thing, it's safety actually.
That's true. Yeah.
It's actually
yeah,
safety.
yeah,
If your
yeah.
cables and stuff laying around, it becomes a hazard.
It
People
is.
trip
yes.
around, or even things get lost.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how you need to account for things.
Yep.
So there's just basic common reasons behind that, not
Mhm.
just for the sake of because OCD lah, trying to make everything look neat and tidy. There's actually a good reason
Yep.
for doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now that you think about it, I do feel like I'm not safe when I'm on stage, and I just always feel like I gotta tuck it in at least, put it aside, make sure that it looks easy to move. Because I'm a klutz, I do trip for no apparent reason a lot, even on smooth surface. So I guess you're right about that safety thing. I never really thought about it out loud, but I do feel like
somewhere in back of your head, tells you,
exactly.
a neat, uncluttered stage and everything's laid out properly is safe. It's a safe working environment.
Exactly, yeah. And for bands who are probably a little bit more outgoing in their performances, they might want to move a lot from one end to another end of the stage. Yeah, we got to keep them safe. If we don't have wireless, then cable management is of the utmost importance.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, you see people tripping over cables or equipment or gear. Yeah.
So far, in my experience, there isn't. No accidents have happened so far. I think it's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I've had my share of
Oh, no.
some, never anything major, but
Okay,
always well funny things lah. Yeah. It's down to more of band members being klutzers and being uncoordinated and overexcited on stage rather than
unaware of each other.
rather than the fault of anything.
Right. I understand that.
So it was always get to a point like, okay, right, I mark out my area. This is my area. Please don't
come here. You stay where you are. If you want to turn around, just go the opposite when you go back. Yeah.
Yeah, these are things that all bands need to work out. As
Exactly.
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fast forward now, I mean, fast forward to when was the last time that you were behind a board or a live sound?
I would say, okay, genuinely, honestly, I think because we're in 2022 now.
Let me rephrase that, okay?
Yeah.
It's not last time, because it is definitely not going to be the last time.
Yep.
There will be a time.
There will be a little bit more in the future, but probably not as active as I was. Yes.
Yeah. So when was the most recent?
Most recent.
Let me rephrase that.
Okay, hold on. I think it was either December or January. Small stuff. But one that I remember the most, I think, is
December, January.
Just
this year?
A few months ago.
Right?
Yeah. Last December. I had just resigned my full-time work, so I don't know how word got out fast, but I had a few shows that needed help with. This one was at Rex KL. It wasn't anything big, just needed someone to cover the wireless mics and the video playback.
Right.
But that's one I remember. I think there was another one after that I said in January. That one is either January or I got paid in January because it was a 30-day thing. That's another thing I don't really miss being a freelance sound engineer. So you have to wait for their payment terms.
Oh boy.
I digress.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one was an event launch. The setup was simple. 2 front, 1 monitor, and then 2 delays. But they didn't have a graphic EQ for the house. And I was using an analog mixer, so I didn't have a lot of
Control.
control. So there were a lot of low end feedbacks, but I think I managed to get under control. But I did tell them like, next time I'm mixing, please bring at least a graphic EQ outboard gear so that I can do something, tune the house a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole space had a lot of 300s, 400s that I couldn't really cut out very well, but
Yeah.
it's fine. We went through it. That was, I think, the last time I was behind a board. Yeah, before that, it was when I was still working full time. I was working for a luxury company, a luxury speaker company. So sometimes we have events, but even those it's on a smaller scale, 8-channel analog board, and that's about it. Haven't
Right.
really done anything big per se since the pandemic happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, things are opening back again. Hopefully, right? You know?
Hopefully.
Opportunities come around. Haul
Yeah.
around, look for Mel.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I will tell anyone who's thinking about being an engineer. I will tell you, corporate gigs are the easiest and brings in the most money. But musical gigs like festivals and all that, they don't pay as well unless it's a 4-day festival or whatever. But they're the most fulfilling. They're the most
Yep.
fun.
Yeah.
You don't get enough sleep. You may eat fried rice every single meal every day, but it is the most fulfilling work you'll ever do. So
Indeed. Yeah.
yeah, if you wanna have a stable income, do more corporate work and then some musical work on the side. But that's just at least my experience.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yep. Win some, lose some here and there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which let me try and there's no easy way to transition into this.
Okay.
All right. But somewhere down the line, right? And then I also was aware because I follow you of what you shared, right, on your own social media. So this is something a little more personal. So you found out that you had ADHD.
Yes.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what ADHD is, again, all right, I did my research before this. Okay, yeah, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Very
Right?
close. It's just hyperactive. but
Hyperactive. Okay,
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang it.
That's
Right.
okay. But
Yeah.
you got it in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of this, of course, and I'm aware of it in children. I've known children who have this. In fact, I have got 1 or 2 friends who also are diagnosed with that, right? And tell me a little bit more. When did you find out?
Okay. I'm turning 29 in 2 weeks, but I found out I have ADHD since I was 20. From this YouTuber called Ryan Higa. I think back then he was called Niga Higa, but we've been a bit cautious about the N word.
Politically correct.
Yes. So he's changed his branding since. He used to have this series called Off the Pill, so where he usually go a little bit, I wouldn't say crazy, but slightly less polished than his scripted videos, and he would just say whatever is on his mind. He made a video about what his ADHD looks like, and I relate to every single thing on the list. But I couldn't find any information about it because, like you said, you know children that have ADHD, but ADHD is a neurological brain disorder. You have it for life. But people always say, you get over it when you're an adult. But that's not true actually. So because of the lack of information, I never really pursued, and I forgot about it to a certain degree. But like many things in life, the pandemic changes you. And I was going through a lot of stuff where I felt like at one point I got depressed, and I did get diagnosed with depression. But I felt that my depression, the word, what does MDD stand for? I don't remember, but that was in my report. But I felt like that wasn't enough to explain what I was going through. I felt like it had to be rooted from something. And then, like a lot of people, youngins, during the pandemic, I got on TikTok. And I know there are some controversial talks about, making your mental illness a quirky trend on TikTok. But honestly, if it weren't for a lot of these creators, I wouldn't have remembered that, like, oh yeah, I think I kind of have ADHD. I
Right.
relate to some of these. like what anyone should do, you should take a lot of things with a grain of salt, but do your own research also. I would also like to mention that I do advocate for self-diagnosis. It's a privilege to get an official diagnosis. I am officially diagnosed with
Mm-hmm.
ADHD. I'd like to also say that. But if you cannot afford an official diagnosis, but if you want to start getting help somewhere, self-diagnosis is a good place to start. Even if what you have isn't what you self-diagnose with, at least you start somewhere. You get some ideas on how to get help. You find some ways to cope and manage, and you try and get better in managing your ADHD. So I got a little bit of off tangent there, but last year I got in touch with a therapist who understands what ADHD is.
Yep.
Or at least was willing to understand, because I've had counselors telling me, so what if you have ADHD? It's just a label. You shouldn't let that define you. I have a lot of problems with that kind of statement, but ADHD does define me. I'm very forgetful. I have a lot of impulses that I cannot control. ADHD also comes with a lot of emotional dysregulation, so it affects my very life.
Yeah.
There's no way to not define my life from because of ADHD. So thankfully, my therapist was gracious. I'm still with her. I've been with her since I think, I don't know, August, September. It's been a while now. And then after a while, when I said like, okay, I've had this for 28 years of my life. I don't think any of the coping mechanisms are working for me. You're doing a wonderful job. I am, understanding myself a bit better. I know how to dissect my my triggers and understand and know how to take a step back and before I do anything drastic, because that's what we do, our impulses. But I do want to get help a little bit more. I want to get medication. And before you get any medication, you have to get professionally diagnosed first. My psychiatrist, so I have a therapist, psychotherapist, and a psychiatrist, actually asked me, if you already know you have ADHD, why do you want to pursue the official diagnosis? I said, I just want some closure. I don't want people to tell me that it's all in your head. It is literally in my head because my brain cannot produce enough dopamine. So it's such a funny statement to say. Like, they don't want us to think about ADHD. They don't want us to stress about it. But I want to at least have another voice that is by a professional and telling me that like it's okay to have ADHD and it's okay to get help for it. And so after this consultation, he gave me like a questionnaire to do, as one does in a professional diagnosis. It's like the initial start to the diagnosis. There were 18 questions. He saw 7 and he was like, yeah, you have the ADHD. It's like, can we just go straight to the part where you want medication? He didn't even like do the whole 3-hour thing that one should do.
It was like question 1 to 7 and then, okay, right, we can skip the rest.
Exactly. Yeah. He saw me and he, because I was fidgeting a lot. I still am now, but it's a lot less since I'm on medication. But yeah, so he saw me, he talked to me a little bit, and he's like, you have ADHD, there's no doubt about it. Do you want to start meds now? I was like, yeah, just tell me how much and I'll do it. So I've been on meds for a few months now. I think since November, around there. Since November. What the meds does for me, at the very beginning, I remember my brain having I'm exaggerating, but like 100 things very loud in my head, wanting my attention all at the same time, to now they're all at 20%. It feels a bit weird sometimes, but now I don't have to spend most of my energy containing them, so I could focus on the important stuff and I can focus on my energy on actually doing the work. Before medication, I also had to manage my emotions. I get really happy very easily, very excited easily, but also very irritable, very angry, very sad easily. So it's very like up and down. People with ADHD have history being diagnosed with bipolar. They can coexist. I'm not saying that they're not, but sometimes I've read up stories on how people were diagnosed with bipolar actually have ADHD.
Yeah.
It's because of the way we cannot regulate our emotions properly. I would also like to equate that having ADHD is like having we're both adults. I'm sure you're going to be okay with this, but we're always going to be on period all the time
Mm-hmm.
because during our menstrual cycle is when we have very low estrogen levels, very low serotonin,
Right.
very low dopamine levels.
Mhm.
So we're all over the place. We cannot really focus. We always have brain fog. We're always very tired. It's like that all the time for me before medication. So I remember when I was on medication and I had my period, I was like, wait, did the med stop working? Do I need a higher dosage? But actually, it just doesn't work because my brain's already producing very, very little happy hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So what's ADHD? It's a lot of people say that it's because the brain isn't producing enough dopamine. Dopamine is the happy hormone that you require for executive function, for motivations, and all of that, and keeping your emotions on track. But there have been recent studies lately. Don't quote me on that. Just please do your research. But it's that it's not the dopamine is not being transferred to the brain fast enough or regular enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much on producing, but it's the amount of dopamine being transmitted to the brain by your neurons.
Mm-hmm.
I could be saying the wrong things here, but that's how I kind of understand from what I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what medication is doing for me, is to help me produce a bit more dopamine so I can manage a lot of aspects in my life.
Dopamine is produced in the
Prefrontal cortex.
right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's produced there. So you're saying that it's not the production.
It's not doing enough, or it's not being transferred enough. There's still because ADHD, like you said, it's always been seen in children.
Yeah.
And it's always been seen in boys, so girls always get neglected in this area. So people are still, honestly, there's not enough information out there on the internet. If you search ADHD now, it's always going to be about children and ADHD. There's no adult ADHD.
Yep.
So we're all still learning. We're all still trying to identify and, understand, the basic symptoms. And then from there, we try to dig deep and, get help more.
Yep.
Yeah. So in my case, ADHD has three kinds. There's hyperactive, and then there's inattentive, and then there's a combination of both. I am not I don't really care what type of ADHD am I. I think I'm both, because there are days where I will really daydream and have maladaptive daydreaming. One of the things that I was worried about after I got my license is, how am I going to stop daydreaming? Because I love looking out at the windows, see the cars, see the sky, see whatever. And, we have higher risk of car accidents, people with ADHD, from zoning out a lot. Yep. There were many times where I don't even remember my entire journey. I would start driving and suddenly I'm home. And I'm like, how did I get here? Which highway did I take? I don't remember. But we got home, thankfully safe.
Yeah.
Thankfully. We're very time blind. We don't realize that time has flown, or like when we work, we don't realize that months have passed by. Sometimes we are late because we don't realize the time. This time thing is one of the things that I try to be really good at in my time as an engineer, because we have schedules, we have production times, and I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to disrespect people's time. So I actually was okay. I was never late to anything. In fact, I was always early to everything. But because of the pandemic, we're home all the time. We don't know what, how it feels like. So there were many times where I just didn't have any purpose. That's why I fell into depression. But after learning that I have ADHD, it all started to make sense. My walls are down. I'm feeling a bit more like myself. My symptoms came out a bit more. I didn't have to mask in front of people, because that's one of the things. You want to appear normal. You don't appear like you have a mental illness. So you put a little bit of a mask, and with all the comments like smile more, you put even more masks so that you can appear what do you call that, accepted in the society. I don't know where I'm going with this story. Another thing that we're very good at is rambling on and on and on.
Oh, that's perfect for a podcast.
I
It's
know, but I
fantastic.
also just like
Yeah.
want to find some way where I can stop and have a conclusion about that topic before I move on to another.
Right.
But I guess let me find a conclusion. Long story short, actually knowing and accepting that I have ADHD has
Mhm.
made my life for the better.
Yeah.
I know in our Asian community, we're always taught to don't talk about it. Don't stress about it.
Yeah. There's always the denial, the stigma.
The stigma,
Yeah.
exactly, the stigma. I remember even people telling me, are you gonna be on meds? Are you sure that's okay for you? I'm like, do you take medication when you have fever? Do you take Panadol when you have fever?
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you not to take Panadol and just drink water and it's all fine, it's all in your
Yeah.
head?
It
It doesn't sound nice. It's not helpful at all.
exactly.
I will also want to step into probably a very dangerous area.
Oh, don't worry. This is a safe. It's a safe space here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm in a few Christian communities myself, and one of the big reasons why I'm very loud and vocal about ADHD and mental health on social media is because I know a lot of the times, at least from Christian community members, they're always like, "Oh, I'll pray for you," or "Be healed in Jesus' name." I don't dismiss any of that. I don't tell you not to pray for me,
Yep.
but when they say things like that to me, it's very dismissive. It's not helpful. And if you don't understand what I'm going through, what do you even know what to pray for?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I try to do online especially is to educate. So every now and then I will have some educational information about mental health, depression, anxiety, or even ADHD. But I also want to be vocal about this is because I want all of us, doesn't matter from which community group, we have to learn how to be open. We have to learn how to ask and try to understand. And even if you don't understand, at least listen. I think that's a very powerful thing when you know how to listen and you know how to empathize with the other person.
Yes.
Yeah. So my point being, it's at least as a Christian, I always felt like it's very there's a term that came up on social media. I don't remember now, but I think it's called spiritual bypassing. Whatever troubles someone bring to you, and you just tell them, "Oh yeah, leave that to Jesus. He'll take care of that for you," and stuff like that. Or you're gonna be fine. Jesus will carry your burden. Oh, I'll pray for you. Don't worry about it. Jesus will take care of you. It's like all of these things that
It's like you're just sweeping.
exactly just sweeping that under the
problem.
rug, and
Yeah.
it's not helpful. And I just want to use this opportunity. Even if you're not a Christian, or even if you're not from any religious background, I do hope someday we are all a little bit kinder and learn how to listen a bit more and just at least help to understand what this person is going through. Any times back then, at least, when someone say these things to me, I always feel like, okay, well, if you're not gonna help me, I know Jesus is gonna help me. He's gonna probably send someone to help me. But right now, I need someone to talk to. I want to go through these issues with you, but you're not here to hear me out, so I feel alone. And so that's why a lot of people would feel like, oh, I don't want to talk about my burdens. It's just gonna,
Yep. Because what you're getting back is like, it's not helpful.
it's not.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna be, hopefully the first in my at least my community, the first in my generation to speak out a lot more about this, because I've had a few of those comments lately and I did call them out for it. And I just want to use this opportunity to also say, like, be kind first, empathize first, listen first before you say anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not unless you understand, and if they're close friends with you, then maybe if they permit, you can offer them advice, but not whatever you just said, which is
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
but you always see these things with not only just when we talk about issues
Yeah.
of mental, even a lot of social economic
Yeah.
issues as well. Yeah, they always say that if you are, let's say for example, someone who is from a poor family or poor community, what are you gonna do? You say, oh, God bless you, I'll pray for you, or something like that, or
Yeah.
or hey, things are gonna be better. It's not helpful
It's
just
not
saying
helpful.
words, right?
Yeah.
You need to
Exactly.
be able to, the words that you said, you need to listen, you need
Yep.
to understand, you need to empathize.
Exactly.
All those three things, and be kind,
Yep.
Yeah, it has to start from from a place of of love and kindness for first of
Exactly.
all, and just realize that just words and phrases which sound good, which sound pleasing, they're not helpful.
They're not helpful.
Yeah.
They may sound positive, but
Yeah.
I would definitely categorize that under toxic positivity because that's how we tell boys not to cry because boys don't cry, and
Yeah.
then they grew up being men who suppress their feelings every time they feel something and they don't know how to
Yeah.
manage it, and
Yeah, then end up being psychos and
yeah,
serial killers and
exactly. So
yeah.
definitely gonna have to try. At least for me, also, I try to
Mm,
listen more.
yeah.
Not a very good listener. I talk more, but even from that point of view, I try to listen more. I definitely empathize a lot. I definitely
Mhm.
try to understand more. In fact, mental health and depression especially has been something that I've always fascinated about because I always have this interest on how to understand people better, how to hear first, listen first before I make any passing judgment about them. I think it's very important that anybody should
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very well said. That's excellent. Very, very well said.
Thank
And
you.
hopefully whoever's listening to this will take back some valuable
I
lessons
hope
lah.
so. Yeah.
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 Learn a little bit more. Go and do a little bit more research. Read up. All right. And so next time if you ever, you know, even in other areas lah, if
Mm-hmm.
you meet someone who's undergoing issues, depression, mental health issues,
Seek
and
help.
everything,
Yeah.
if yeah, definitely they should seek help. But for us, if you see a friend or see a person around, you know um there's a kinder way to deal with
Yeah.
this lah, instead of
Definitely.
just telling them, hey, don't worry about it, man, things are gonna turn out good, all right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've for me, mental depression has struck really, really close to me. I've had a friend who, right, who had sadly is not around here anymore because of mental issues. I'm sure. Well, Jamir, a good friend of ours from Slapshock, he's committed suicide. Um, because of that,
Yep.
because of mental issues.
Yep.
But of course, we celebrate his life and everything
Mm-hmm.
right now. But yeah, these are things that we should talk about.
Yep.
Yeah, and we should
Have an
raise,
open
yeah,
conversation about it. No one should feel
exactly.
ashamed about getting help. No one should feel like they could never get help. They could never
Hmm.
have anyone to rely
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah.
I am very I come from a very fortunate I guess state of mind because I recognize that I need help and I went to seek help. I get a
Mm,
formal diagnosis on my depression, then I
yeah,
got help with a therapist and I got a formal
yeah,
diagnosis with ADHD. But that's also because of my own interest and understanding of mental health. So
yep,
I really the first step to anyone getting any help or offering help is to at least understand,
yep.
mental illnesses, they're not something that you see. They're like invisible cancer. I mean, cancer is also kind of invisible except for maybe skin issues, but they're like cancer that it's just eating you up alive, and if you don't do anything, no treatment to help you, counter them or keep them under control, they're just gonna literally take over your life. And
Hmm.
for people who don't know anywhere else, they only know one thing, and it'll be too late
Mm.
when that happened. And I've had um suicide is also very close to me. I don't know anyone personally that have committed, but I know a few that have thought about it and have done it a few times, but thankfully they're still here.
Hmm.
And it's a very hard topic for me to talk about because I love them dearly, but I try to always remind them that I'm here for them, and I'll help wherever I can, and I'll listen whenever I can.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important that we keep this kind of conversation alive, and I really hope the next generation, Gen Z onwards, are going to be the one that's very aggressive about this.
Hmm. Yeah.
I know for older generation, I'm sure a lot of them went through depression, but they never really talk about it. They probably brush it aside and say, like, I came out fine. I'm fine now. I don't need therapy. But honestly, therapy is even for people who don't have mental illnesses. I think one should definitely have someone that they can be accountable for when it comes to their emotions, when it comes to their mental health. They don't have to wait until it's so dire and then only you seek help. Even just talking to a friend about an issue, it's a good step already. Yeah.
I think that's a good, really, really good point. Well, and right, a lot of good pieces of advice lah for everyone to take. You know,
I hope so.
Yeah. How did let's still kind of dive around this topic again.
Okay.
And I have to say, I really admired how. Because earlier we talked about all your accomplishments of what you did, right, and what you're still doing, and especially in this field, in audio, being an engineer. I mean, looking at all, let's say the symptoms or signs of ADHD, it would seem to me that this is incompatible with someone who's working in let's say audio or working in studio. How did you overcome? How did you sort of or find your way, so to speak?
Okay, well, I did mention why in the beginning of our conversation, why studio didn't work out for me. It's because of I wouldn't say routine, but a lot of the work that we do will feel like it's repetitive. You're always at the same spot. You're always at the same desk. Even for me at home, every now and then I'll rearrange something at my desk because I cannot have something the same all the time. My brain would think it's boring, but I would feel like it's fine. So it was always the battle between myself and my brain.
Yeah.
So that's why I felt like I was attracted to live sound. And one of the research that I've done upon learning that, I think I have ADHD, was looking up what kind of work would suit a person with ADHD. Sound engineering isn't one of them.
Yeah.
But one that stood out to me was stage management, particularly stage manager in theater. I've done a few theater productions myself. Actually, that's where they call me Pakao Liao because I was doing everything.
And doing everything, yes.
From stage to sound to, I only didn't touch lights, but pretty much everything.
Just in case for people, that's Hokkien, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah, that's Hokkien for one person who does everything.
Yeah, one person who does
slang.
everything. That's when I learned about that slang, that term also. So stage management is one of it. Why? Because we're always on our feet. Everything is fast paced. You don't really have time. You have time to plan. You gotta, make sure everything is organized and whatnot. But because it's fast paced, it's exciting and a lot of new things happening all the time. Your brain finds it so exciting that
it doesn't linger on too long on one thing. So that's where.
I feel calm in a rock concert, so much so that I can sleep because my brain is happy. I'm at peace. I don't feel so bored that I feel like I want to cry. I've had that issues before where I feel so bored I actually legitimately feel like crying. So sound engineering, I think is one of the ways where I didn't necessarily mask or hide behind my ADHD, but it was kind of under control because it's where my ADHD kind of shine. I was always on my feet. I was always trying to keep to the schedule, making sure all departments are doing their work. I'm very good at delegating and making sure that, everyone is doing the things that are their strong suits. And then I just need to make sure the show runs well. So, like I said, when the pandemic happened and you're always home alone, the walls start to come down. The symptoms come out more.
Exactly.
And you're like, what is wrong with me? Actually, there's nothing wrong with you.
It's just that, it's a whole shift, you that whole structural environment was just taken away.
I think I remember seeing, I don't know if I'm quoting the right artist, but Halsey, she said she thought she got over her ADHD because, she's a singer, musician, she's touring, she's always on production, she's always performing. And then suddenly when the pandemic happened and then she realized, you know what, she never really got over her ADHD. It's just that she was she was also able to keep it under control and manage it
Just
well,
managing and coping lah.
coping
Right?
it well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she's one of the person that made me realize, my event days were the things that kept me, really, really under wraps, basically.
Under control.
Under control.
Tie it down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got a compressor, limiter, taking care of it.
exactly.
I had to throw in all these audio.
Yeah, I know,
audio-
I get it. I
audio,
totally get it. Yeah. And my medication is the threshold level, making sure that I don't go over. But anyway, when I was working full time in office, that's when I felt like my ADHD was not enjoying my time. So that's why I had a lot of full time, then freelance, then full time, then freelance. The only time that I think I really enjoyed as a full timer was when I was working for the company that manages laundry and also for Big A. I only moved on because I wanted to try something new again. My brain got bored. I want to try something new, something different, and also I want to upskill also lah.
Yes.
Yeah, so the other times where I felt like my ADHD was a little bit out of control is when I wasn't able to regulate my emotions. Sometimes client can be a bit tough, and I don't know how to manage. And the lack of sleep, the lack of water, dehydration, all of this will impact, your mental health. It will impact your stress level as well. So all the times where I felt like I wasn't performing up to par is mostly because I didn't know how to keep it under control when I'm very, very tired, or when I'm very, very dehydrated, when I'm not resting enough and all of that. But most of the time, especially in events, I thrive with my ADHD. I was very, very, very happy. Yeah.
And that's I wanted to ask that because I think it's again very useful and beneficial to let's just say that, right? For example, ADHD or bipolar or any kind of whatever mental disorder. There is always a way, or there's always a place where you can thrive. Where you can hey,
Be
this
yourself.
this is like right for me. This is great.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, it's useful information. It's not like, oh no, because of this, then I cannot function at work, or I cannot function in society. There's always that positive. And I don't mean it to be in like toxic positive. This is actual positive, constructive. Okay.
Yes.
There is a way, right? There's always a place, an environment, or a niche where you can find lah, right? So hopefully whoever was listening to this, will be aware of this lah. What other like areas, if you've done your research, right? What other areas or of job fields out there which are suitable?
I don't remember anything else except for stage manager and nurse.
Okay.
Nurse,
Right.
you're always on your feet. You're always
Right.
attending to patients. You're always, moving from one end to another end, making sure the
Right.
doctor, don't miss out anything, and making sure the doctor keeps the patients alive. At least from my experience, I'm in a few ADHD community groups. I know a lot of admin work do not suit us. A lot of office work do not suit us.
Yep.
But I also feel like a lot of times if you have exciting colleagues, that keep things fun in the office, maybe it's not so bad.
Right.
I know there were downtime in Big A. My friends, my best friends now, we kept the boring downtime very interesting. When we clean cable, we'll watch YouTube together. We don't make it feel like it's such a bore.
Yeah.
So anything that can feel like it's fast paced, anything that can keep you on your toes, can get your brain.
There's no monotony in it.
No,
Yeah.
So I would also want to probably suggest online work. I'm, like I said, social media strategist. I don't know how I pivoted from marketing purely because I wanted to try the idea of working from home. I got tired of meeting people at some point. Life's on, you have to meet people and network all the time.
Yes.
It gets really tiring. So, but I found that I actually like social media, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, because social media is always changing. There will always be new algorithms, new trends and all that. It does feel like it can get exciting from time to time, and
right.
especially when you're bored from one trend from another. So I started out my now career as a freelance social media strategist, actually as a virtual assistant, because I couldn't make up my mind if I want to be a social media manager or a virtual assistant or a social media strategist. These three roles are very different from each other, but I love doing all three. Again, pakoliao, so I'm doing
Yeah.
everything. And virtual assistant also, it comes with its own niche in industry. You can be just one that manages online business stores, or one that can be someone's personal assistant doing, data entry and all that. But you can also be a creative one where you help someone manage their creative projects, their online projects. But again, I decided to be a freelancer. Well, because I felt like I want to have the opportunities to work with different types of clients.
Yeah.
I have 6 on my retainer right now. They're all lovely. They're all wonderful. And every single one of them brings something different to the table.
Yeah.
I can do something as small as just design one simple poster in Canva to doing photo shoots and video shoots for their social media. I have my own camera now. It's something that I've never had before. And I help them take lifestyle photos, product photos. These kind of tasks don't come under social media strategy. You have a different department for that. But I love doing them, and I love being able to put together these pieces and make a very, very beautiful Instagram grid. And that's another thing that I feel like, keeps my brain going. It keeps me creative as much as I can. Yeah.
Right. Fascinating. Yeah. No,
That's-
yeah. It's fascinating because, I don't know. I think somebody else has said it before, but the word disorder, sometimes it's feel like maybe that's not the right word. Maybe we need to find another way to to describe or to label. But then
Okay.
again, labels are how we humans
Yeah.
work. I know we put labels to everything because it's just a convenient way.
It's for us to identify, usually the only way for us to identify issues, so that we know how to get help, the help that we need. But it's also a good way to make sure that we are at a level that we're supposed to be healthy. We're supposed to be happy. I remember reading this quote saying, I think it was a comic strip, but I don't remember. But basically, this parent say, "Oh, my son doesn't have a meltdown. I don't think he's autistic after being diagnosed with autism." And then the doctor say, "No, he's just happy. That's all."
Oh,
but that doesn't mean he doesn't have autism.
Oh,
It's
right.
just that, we have words like disorder. It's just to help
Yeah.
us to identify, the challenges that we may face because of our disorders,
Yeah.
and then we have to find the adequate help for
yeah.
it.
So I do understand. There is that. The way that how we need to structure and label things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just inside me, I just feel like it shouldn't be a disorder. Disorder, implies that it is not normal.
Well, yes.
I know it is not normal, but for me, I just want to see that, hey, anyone who's got a disorder to me is like, you're still part of us. You're still a human being, still
True.
a person with feelings, with emotions, and
Yeah.
just because you're that makes you part of us.
I'll
Yeah.
give you a word.
Yeah,
Neurodivergent.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
That's a lot of big words.
It's a big word. Yeah, it's just a word to say that, neurologically we're different. So
Yes, yeah.
everybody that is neurodivergent, bipolar, ADHD, autism, or anyone even with mental illness, we are neurodiverse. We are lumped together because the normies, the normal people,
Normies.
they're called neurotypical. So
Oh.
they get their own thing.
Yeah,
We
get
get
their own label.
one umbrella. We get neurodivergent, neurodiverse.
Mhm.
So my friends and I realized also growing up, I'm very well received by certain people that were kind of me, that felt like that I felt like they understood me. I'm pretty sure they're all neurodivergent, because the normies will be like, "Why are you doing things like that? Can you please stop moving? Can you stop fidgeting? Or can you, they will always
Yep.
find some kind of fault in me."
Yeah.
But to neurodivergents, they would think that it's normal.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't really
exactly.
find anything different
Yeah.
or weird about it.
Oh
Yeah.
well, I'm just in my naive brain and thinking it's like everyone, let's hold hands together, kumbaya.
Exactly.
that sort of thing.
Exactly.
I mean, hopefully we can get to that point, where we don't look at things as a disorder, and we
Yeah.
just accept. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to unlearn a lot of things, definitely. ADHD and autism, they're the two big disorder, a neurological disorder that often gets overlooked because people want to keep it hush hush. But I would want to point it out there. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but it's genetics.
Yeah.
It's hereditary. So if I have it, that means my parents have it. It's either or. It's either both of them or either one of them.
Right.
Oh no, wait. It's either both of them together or one of them. Yeah. Okay. And then that means I'm gonna pass it down to my future generation, and then it gonna pass down, right? Here's my theory. I think most of us, if not all, are neurodiverse, neurodivergence, or at least have some form of neurodiversity.
Yeah.
But because we're so used to the way the world is designed for us, we are forced to conform to societal conformity. I can't pronounce words, but we're forced to conform to certain standards.
Yeah.
And that's why many of us can feel like we're out of place. Like, this system doesn't work for me, or this community feels very alienated for me. Like you, I also hope someday that we can just hold hands and just accept each other. We have a long way to go, but I hope, like, from these kind of conversations, we realize we're actually a lot more alike than we think.
Yep.
ADHD manifests in many different ways. Like ADHD alone has 3 types, like I mentioned, and so but there are certain traits that are similar or manifest the same, which is our impulses, or bad working memory and all that. But if we have more and more people that understands this, or at least can empathize with this and understand how it can affect our life to be called a disorder, sooner or later, I think it's going to be something that is easily accepted. Yeah.
Yep. And that's my wish and that's my hope. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
So, Mel, what's in store for you right now?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Is there anything that that you want to share, what you're working on, or anything that's coming up, or?
I don't have anything that's coming up. I have a song that has been with Chris Pereira for I think almost a year now.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He helped me mix a song, but one of the challenges that I face as someone with ADHD is that I don't have enough. Please look up the spoon theory, because I don't know how to explain the spoon theory, but I don't have enough spoons to even think about wanting to listen to the last mix that he gave me, and that was many moons ago. I'm not trying to ghost you, Chris. I promise. I just cannot bring myself to want to listen to the mix and have like a constructive comments or change. The last mix before that, it was almost perfect. I think there was just 1 or 2 things I want to change, but I'm pretty sure it's perfect by now. I just cannot bring myself to complete the project. So I don't know, I guess if that ever comes out, you'll hear from me. That's the only thing that I can think of that is kind of public. Everything else is just client work. I've been doing pretty good. I just closed my last one yesterday. I just sent over like my proposal and contract for the last one. I'm doing pretty okay. What else? If you like learning more about ADHD and mental health, you can find me on social media. My name is Melinya. I don't like this. I don't dislike my name, but it is very hard for people to pronounce.
Oh, never mind, right? Yeah.
So
I'll leave make sure how to contact you and all your links down in the description and in the video as well. Yeah.
So I'm quite not vocal, but like
outspoken
on Instagram and Twitter mostly. Once in a while, I have like a filtered version of it on Facebook, but Facebook's mostly personal stuff. So mostly IG and Twitter, and then if you want to learn more, I can also introduce you to a few communities.
Very nice.
I have helped at least 10 people on Twitter to my therapist. I've introduce them to my therapist, and
Very
then
nice.
she helps to organize from then on. And there's also a group on Facebook for Malaysians with ADHD. So if you want to feel like you're not alone, and come over, and then I don't manage it,
Right,
but I
yeah.
do share a few things there once in a while.
Right.
People will share their rants, their stories, their achievements, everything, all under the umbrella of ADHD. You won't feel alone there, and you can feel like if you think you have ADHD and you want to feel like you want to relate to someone, I can hook you up there as well.
Excellent. We'll
Yeah.
make sure that we'll put all this down, and
Yes.
I'll put all this down in the description
Definitely.
later.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
have anything else to plug. I don't have any work online. I'm just doing my thing as a freelance social media strategist.
Yeah. Well, but not forgetting, all right. If you want someone to mix your live sound or handle your event, you also have that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have 2 gigs sorted out in June, so that's something that I can look forward to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, once again, all right, a woman of many talents, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I guess this is a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
so
know?
much for having me here. I love talking about things that I'm passionate about, and sound engineering, mental health are the 2 things that I really, really love talking about. Yeah.
Yes, and I think there's always this area that both can sort of
Yeah.
overlap. There's those that area where they both can find how to say they fit together sometimes in
Yep.
certain ways, and it's
Yep.
awesome to have someone to have you come and sort of talk and share your perspective and
Thank
your
you.
experience over it. You see,
My pleasure.
yeah, and I'm sure hopefully, right. I don't have a huge audience, yet, right?
We'll start
Right, and,
somewhere.
you
I
know,
don't have a huge audience
maybe
either.
maybe I need a social media strategist to help with my social media strategy to push. I mean, there's so much other stuff we need to do, like
Yeah,
studio
of
work
course,
and all
of
that,
course.
Yeah, and then trying to wrap my head around YouTube and social media and all that. That's just one thing. But thank you for coming on and do this, lah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and doing
Pleasure's
this.
all mine.